welcome everyone to another episode of What's Working in E-commerce. I'm your host, Egan Heath from Caravan Digital. And today I have on some experienced e-commerce advertisers. I have Eroslav and Rohaan, and they're going to talk to us about de-risking your advertising through the major platforms. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Egan.
Tell me a bit about the risks that, online advertisers face when they're, relying on these social media platforms to advertise their products and scale.
Yeah, I can take this one. So generally what we see now is that a lot of these newbie beginner entrepreneurs or even experienced entrepreneurs that have brands, they rely solely on one traffic source. So let's imagine it's Facebook, most of the time it is, or it might just be TikTok. They're kind of putting all their eggs in one basket. They're not diversifying traffic sources. They're only relying on one. And what happens when that one traffic source gets banned is that you no longer have traffic, you no longer have a business. This is especially a disaster if you have inventory waiting to be sold and you have no footfall, no traffic on your website. So what we've noticed is that the bans that are happening in the industry for ad accounts can affect anyone. It can be someone who's totally white hat, has a brand that is, all by the book, not breaking any policy and just randomly gets restricted. Or also some others, obviously, that are running more aggressive marketing. These bans just seem to happening. It's not, it can be accidental, it can be like a false positive. There's many different types of bans, but the main issue is when you get this ban, support times are incredibly slow. A lot of the advertisers don't have other traffic, so your business is kind of crippled while you're waiting for your ad account to get re-enabled. So that's kind of where we come in. We've founded Orange Trail, our agency, which has high-level contracts and agreements with all the major advertising platforms such as Facebook, Google, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter. And through our contracts, we can provide the highest level of ad accounts possible. They're called agency accounts. They're kind of like a badly kept secret, which is, they're the highest level of ad accounts possible. They're not like your standard ones. For example, these accounts, they have unlimited spend from day one. They don't get banned as easily. They have a direct line access to reps. And when I mean reps, someone who actually knows what they're talking about and not some Facebook marketing manager who's telling you to run a traffic campaign. There's numerous benefits to using these agency accounts. And that's where Eroslav and I, we come in. We founded Orange Trail. We're helping hundreds of advertisers in the last year alone to advertise stably, with stability, when they otherwise couldn't.
That's great. Thank you. Eroslav, anything to add to that?
Just to add to that, just as Rohan said, it's even if you're totally white hat, so many times brands are experiencing, issues with that. And although some people and some brands can, with some luck, get their hands on a good rep and good support, we know so many people and brands that are spending even like $1 million per month, and their support is just terrible from Facebook. They can't get anyone, they can't get a hold of anyone. So we kind of bridge that gap.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we, as I should mention, our agencies experienced this too. Clients that were advertising approved products and everything like that would just get their accounts shut down, and even us trying to scramble as a smallish agency, trying to get a hold of Facebook and get those accounts reinstated. And in the meantime, a lot of revenue is lost, and it's pretty stressful. So there certainly is a real market need here. So that makes a lot of sense. Talk to us a bit about your solution. It's pretty interesting, how you guys have set it up. How were you able to do this? And just tell us a little bit about the backstory on this as well.
No, I was about to say, actually, before we get into that, let's just first kind of share with the audience kind of the ideal setup for how they should be setting up their infrastructure before we get into that. So the main thing is, as you're advertising, you should never keep all of your eggs in one basket. And what I mean by that is you should always have at least 2 to 3 BMs, ideally 3 or more BMs, business managers. This is Facebook I'm talking about. And the business manager which you are using to advertise, that should never be the business manager that owns your assets. Your assets are, your pixels, your ad accounts, your pages. You should always be using a separate business manager which does not own any assets. Reason being, usually when you're advertising and a BM, business manager, goes down, it's the one that is advertising. So if that happens, you just disassociate your business managers. You get another business manager, you can just get it from a family member or a friend. They just make you admin. They can remove themselves as admin, and then you use a new business manager, and then link the assets again. So you should always have like a very decentralized setup, and keep all your assets separate as much as possible. Because if the business manager that, for example, owns the pixel goes down, now you just lost all your data. You can't recover that data. That's very valuable. The business manager that owns your pixel should just leave only the pixel there, leave it very untouched, never use it for advertising, and you just keep it as like that's your baby. You protect it at all costs. And then you use other business managers to, to link together business managers to actually run ads and connect all the assets. That's just one very important thing, before we get into kind of specifically, kind of what we do as a baseline. Everyone should be doing this. They should be diversifying their assets. And of course, in each business manager, make sure you have, multiple admins. That's, quite standard nowadays as well. So, yeah.
Pretty interesting. And do you recommend, sort of being that defensive, regardless of what a brand is advertising, to just don't take any chances, even if, you're totally above board in terms of your products? I've never heard that recommendation before, so I'm curious.
100%. I mean, we've seen brands that are very, very white hats, totally above board, having issues like that, where it's like either it can be like even just a false positive, just a random block or restriction. And then even if maybe they get it back after, let's say, a week or two, that's 1 or 2 weeks of them not running ads, which is, obviously a decent amount of lost revenue for many brands. So 100%, you should have this set up just to hedge against the risk, to be on the defensive, and just to diversify your risk as much as possible.
And you guys have seen a lot of ad accounts. Are there particular things you see people doing that really seem to be working well? I'm curious kind of what your perspective is on that, if any.
Yeah, maybe I'll take this one. So when it comes to things that are working well, I mean, obviously we wouldn't be able to share strategies that other clients are using due to, privacy. We sign agreements with everyone, non-disclosures. However, what we have noticed is longevity and, sustainability with advertising all kind of comes down to how healthy your assets are. You have to make sure that your healthy assets are across not only your BM, your profile, but also your ad account and page. So, we've noticed in the dropshipping vertical, there's a lot of low quality, low page scores, and usually it's the pages that are being impacted. Now, when a page goes down, obviously due to low scores, what a lot of people do is they instantly make another one, and okay, they're boom up and running for 2 weeks, but then boom, the next one goes down, and then they make a third. And usually what we've heard from the reps is like two is already risky. When you make a third and that one goes down, then you risk a very serious ban called circumventing systems ban, and that generally blacklists your domain. And when that happens, it's kind of like a creepy ex stalking you. It will follow you into new ad accounts, into new pages, everything. It will continue to follow you as long as you use that same domain or a similar page name or that domain linked to a new page. By that stage, especially if you have a dropshipping store, we recommend just making a new domain altogether and linking up, a whole new setup. So what we advise is obviously, the no-brainer, the elephant in the room is have great customer service, have, good quality ads, just a general good user experience for Facebook users, because that's how the page score is, rewarded. Other than that, obviously within the ad account, when you're launching a new ad, always put one in review before and it's approved, then duplicate a bunch of others. Because we've seen that what people do is they'll like in one session, they're like, okay, let me make some ads. They'll make like 20 or 30, put it into review, and like 15 or 20 of them will actually get disapproved and the whole account goes down. So another, pro tip we give is just wait for one to be in review. Once it's approved, then duplicate. Wait for the second one to be approved, and then you can slowly, have the rest approved, rather than just front loading and bulk trying to review a lot, because your ad account will get shut down. And generally it's a false positive. I mean, ad disapprovals happen all the time, but it can impact the ad account quality as well. Other than that, as Ari mentioned, just minimizing the risk, having multiple satellite BMs to have different, like your pixel, one for, the ad account, one for the page. That's a very, very good setup to minimize your risk as well.
Yeah, you mentioned that sort of page score piece. Can you, for people who aren't familiar with that, can you talk about that and how do people find out their page score?
Right. So there is a section of, so when you go into your ads manager, you can go into the account quality section, and you can view what is generally on the page level. You can see what is the page score. Now, page score is decided on 3 factors. I believe it's shipping speed, product quality, and I think the third one is just customer experience or something, customer service. And yeah, so based on 3 of these, what happens is Facebook gives you a score. Now, the score, I believe it goes up to 5, and if it's below 2, you generally risk a ban of the page. So in the dropshipping world, they're usually hovering just above 2, and when it goes below 2, the page gets shut down. Obviously, if you're above 3 or even above 4, then Facebook actually rewards you with higher quality traffic, better reach, because they're not penalizing you per se. So every page has a score, and every brand or every website, every time they run traffic, every time they get a customer delivered the order, or after they've been served an ad, the customer generally gets an option to review the experience with said ad or said brand.
So you guys have seen this happening quite a bit, and you've developed a solution. Talk about your solution a little bit, and who's it a good fit for?
Yeah, sure. So specifically, we specialize in providing the agency ad accounts. So on the ad account level, if you don't have an ad account, you can't advertise, right? So what we provide is these high-level pre-vetted ad accounts, which are direct from authorized sales partners of Meta, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter, Google. And these accounts, as I previously mentioned, they have a number of benefits which a standard account may not. For example, with our TikTok accounts, we're pretty much direct with TikTok HQ in Europe. We get these accounts which have access to premium features which may not be publicly available yet. They might take up to 3 to 6 months to become publicly available, but we'll have those new features on our TikTok agency accounts. For example, on TikTok, you don't have all the GEOs unlocked. We have them all unlocked, so you can target anywhere in the world. With the support line, we have pretty much the highest level of support. So, Egan, you mentioned yourself, you were waiting weeks for a response from support. This is especially the case in summer because, it's summertime and Meta is notoriously bad, especially, during these times. So you might be waiting a while longer. With our reps, we generally get an answer within 24 hours, and they actually know what they're talking about. They'll pinpoint and tell you exactly where the problem lies, whether that be on the creative level or on the landing page. They'll tell you, hey, edit that buzzword, or hey, remove that discount. Because another thing is huge discounts are not realistic, and they can sometimes flag things too. So we generally advise below 30%, 30 or lower. And yeah, it's just, overall, the benefits are clients come to us to advertise with stability. And having stability in this game is, like I said, it's about longevity. If you keep getting disablements, restrictions, it's a start-stop. One day your traffic might be high, another it might be low. It's not very sustainable. So what we provide clients is stability with their advertising.
Just to add on to that, who is the service most ideal for? So it's a lot of, so of course, e-commerce spenders. So it's some established brands that, for example, want to have that more direct support from Facebook or TikTok or the platforms or the accounts which they're using. There's some dropshippers, but we generally tend to work with established e-commerce brands. There's some dropshippers, of course, some affiliate spenders, some lead generation spenders, but the vast majority are e-commerce brands and e-commerce advertisers.
Gotcha. And is there a story you guys can share too of where before someone was using this solution and then afterward, and kind of tell us a bit about the difference that made for them?
So we have a few quite specific and solid case studies of just people who just kept getting blocked, and then through these accounts they were able to successfully run their ads. So one is, for example, there was this one e-commerce brand. They're selling melatonin. I'm not sure how much you know about melatonin, but when you're selling melatonin, it's not in itself against policy, depending on how you phrase it. There's only a handful of companies that are advertising melatonin. Most that try get blocked. Okay. And so this company as well was having issues. They were having their account restricted, but through coming and using our agency accounts, along with getting the support directly from us and our reps regarding, okay, you can't say this word, you can't say this word, this should be phrased like this, this should be phrased like this, don't use this image. Through doing that and iterating, they're now actually successfully advertising melatonin, which is a very, like I said, it's not against policy per se, but it's very risky, and it can be done in a white hat way. So this is just one example, and there's many different examples of these kind of more riskier niches, which you're able to advertise with the agency accounts. And also other examples of niches which are not even that risky, but people having issues with the accounts, with getting restricted, which then they're able to successfully advertise in the agency accounts.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. Well, say a little bit more. It sounds like, people, it could be brands, could be agencies, talk more about who's a good fit for you and where can they find out more?
So Egan, honestly, we have we have a lot of, as Ari mentioned, different verticals, different types of businesses coming to us. What I would say is if anyone is having issues with their advertising and they don't trust their platform, they don't trust Facebook, they don't trust TikTok, they just keep getting restrictions, they're not having good support. I would encourage them to come have a chat with us and see, what kind of help we could have for their business to help them scale up. Anyone can find us on our website, which is orangetrail.io. So that would be orange and trail, trail.io. And we already have some very large partners in the industry. And keep in mind, we're only a year old, but we have some large partners like Triple Whale, George's, AdLeaks, if anyone knows the community from Facebook groups. We have some multi-login, so huge partners coming to us because they see the value in what we're providing. We're really solving a pain point in the industry where others don't have any other options. People go into Google and they're typing in, how do I get my ad account unbanned? And these are keywords that we're using to target them with ads because they come to us, they talk to us, and then this is a game changer. What I would say is anyone who's having issues with advertising. Now, if you're not having issues, all the power to you. That's great. But at the same time, you may not be having it now. Anyone can at any moment. Regarding our actual service, so our business model is very simple. We will provide you the infrastructure you need to advertise, and in return we just have a subscription model where you would pay a monthly fee or a small percentage of your ad spend. It's generally something very small, like 2.5%. So anyone can apply as long as you're white hats. We don't tolerate any black hat activity. And you are serious about your business, you can come and have a chat with us. Book a call at orangetrail.io.
All right. Thanks so much for coming on, guys, and sharing what's working in e-commerce.
Thanks for the invite.
Cheers, Egan.